Hello everyone. We're live. I'm just trying to sort my music out. Today we are here for, this is our live ADHD Q&A. Sorry about yesterday, guys, and thank you to everybody who sent me lovely messages of understanding. Martina, I've just seen you join. You sent me a lovely message yesterday. I just weren't feeling up for it. You know, when you're feeling the opposite of, and I know, I feel like saying the opposite of sociable, and I know it's not like actual face-to-face socializing, but I like to be really, you know, me when I chat to you guys. So yesterday I was just feeling like that, and so I postponed the ADHD Q&A till today. And you lot were so understanding, so thank you Dexter. Yes, sometimes you got to take your time and rest yourself. It's exactly that. And I was just feeling all the feels like heavy, tired, blank, emotion, like everything at once. So yeah, I appreciated the understanding around that. But here we are. Is my music too distracting? Or I'd rather the music than not have it, because I think it's nice, but I can turn it off if it's a bit distracting or I've got it a bit loud, so let me know. And this is actually part one of our ADHD Q&A. I've written the questions down. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions I'm going to try to get through. I want to make this under an hour. If anybody watches my series, which is actually today as well, it's Learning How to Love on Yourself, and it's on at 8:30 UK time, 3:30 Eastern time. They go on, like, I don't want to ever cut those short, because we're having a conversation. We're talking about how people who have been through difficult situations learn how to love on themselves and overcome those situations. So I'm not going to try and cut it short, because, you know, let it flow. And they're all like over an hour. But I want to try and make this one an hour for the simple fact, if I'm honest, is that if it's under an hour, I think I can save it straight to my phone, and it'll be nice to like get little cutouts from it. So I'm going to try and make this under an hour, but it is part one because I got sent 38 questions. Well, I got sent more, but the 38 that I think are really good to discuss. No offense to anyone that sent one that I'm not going to answer, because it's an ADHD Q&A and I got sent some wild questions. So I'm going to try and get through these 7. This is part 1, and then there are going to be other parts to this ADHD Q&A. And I had loads of people asking me questions about anxiety, depression, PTSD, CPTSD. So we might have Q&As around different things too, which is general Q&As. But we're 5 minutes in, so I'm going to get straight into it. If anybody, and what I'm hoping to do as well is have a little bit of time at the end where you guys can ask some questions if you like. And if you don't, there's no pressure. I can just continue because I've got loads. But yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it. So again, welcome to part 1 of our live ADHD Q&A. Also, everyone that sent questions in, thank you. I appreciated all of them, and I understand how hard it can be to leave a question under. Like, I put a photo up and said, leave a question, and a lot of people did, and I know that can be really hard. So I am answering all of those ones because I know that is really difficult to do today. I'll answer those ones all today. And then, try and get through the others. So here we go. How is everyone anyway? Hold on. Stop a minute. Happy Good Friday, honeys. I mean, who's feeling good? Who's having a good Friday? Sorry, just went straight into it. How are you lot? You lot are here on Good Friday. I'm so grateful. Thank you. I know today it's a special day, and you're actually here chilling with me for under an hour, if you stay the whole time. So I'm grateful. I'm happy to have you, and I'm grateful. But is everyone good? Oh my gosh. So it's not showing me where people are talking. Okay, Sean. Hello, Sean. Do you know what? I'm seeing the comments now. I was thinking no one's answering. All right, so the music is good. Nice. Where can I watch it? Instagram. The other ones will possibly be on Instagram, or they might be in my online community. But you can just join for free to see these Q&As, so don't worry about that. Natalie's here. Sorry guys, I'm only just seeing these notifications. I have to scroll, sorry. Let's see. All right, nice, good. So everyone's here. All right, cool. I didn't see all those comments. All right, so happy Good Friday, and let's get straight into it so that we can try and finish under the hour. And yeah, be disciplined with it. So the first question I am going to address is, somebody said, I didn't present any symptoms. So this is ADHD symptoms. I didn't present any symptoms till my 20s. And it feels confusing to get my head around this fact because it's supposed to be a hereditary brain disorder. So I fully resonate with this question. So I don't know if that made sense to anyone, but the person who sent this question is basically saying that ADHD is known as a hereditary brain disorder. So it runs in the family and it's a disorder of your brain. Like your brain has got something different or wrong. But they didn't present any symptoms until the point where they were like, hold on, something's wrong here. I need to go to the doctors. They went to the doctors and they got diagnosed with ADHD. Obviously, it's not as quick as that for anyone who is wondering. It's never as quick as that. But it led to that. So this person saying that they only started presenting symptoms in their 20s and then they went and got diagnosed, but then they're told that it's hereditary and it's a brain disorder. So that's really confusing. It's not really a question, it's kind of a point of discussion. And the reason I wanted to answer this one is because I resonate so heavy with this. Because when you're told that ADHD is it runs in your family, it's a brain disorder, and you think, but I weren't showing these symptoms before, so how can it be? Now, this might be controversial for some, but I'm just going to be honest. I have been researching this stuff heavily. I've been experimenting on myself. I've even been a little bit of a creep and been to different doctors just because I wanted to find out if they all say the same thing. And it wasn't to like pull doctors up and to like, you know, to try and catch anyone out. It's just because I was feeling so confused and kind of lost with my diagnosis, hearing that I had severe combined ADHD. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I understand because so, like, you know, I resonate with so many of the symptoms, but all my life, really, you know? And what I've found, and one of the things that I want to point out, and you've probably, if you follow me or you listen to anything that I get interviewed on or talked to, anything where I get talked to, you'll hear me saying this. And the symptoms of ADHD, if they're only presenting themselves later on in life, like in your 20s, like for me, it was probably happening throughout my 20s, and then it was when I was 30 that I got diagnosed. And with this person too, they're saying I didn't notice any symptoms until my late 20s. So where I could probably look back on my life and think, okay, it could have been showing up there and there, but you know, I was coping. Now, the thing that I would say to this question and the person who sent it, if you're listening now or you're on the replay, is, and this isn't, there's so many different things that have similar symptoms to ADHD, but the one thing that is really common is unresolved trauma. Yeah, so CPTSD is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And it's an anxiety disorder that can develop in a person who has experienced ongoing or repetitive trauma in their life and it hasn't been resolved or processed in a healthy way. Does that make sense? Yeah? So you can have negative, shocking, devastating, bad things happen to you, and you could be living in an environment where it's just bad or negative, or you could be being treated in a bad, negative way. So PTSD and CPTSD are different, because PTSD can be from one single event or hearing about an event. You can get PTSD if you haven't received support from hearing about a traumatic event or experiencing or witnessing one traumatic event. If you don't get support after that happens, you can develop PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's an anxiety disorder that comes from trauma, right? Now, CPTSD can develop, and this is, I say can develop because not everybody who experiences or goes through something traumatic develops PTSD or CPTSD, because some people process it healthily and some people get support, whether it be counseling, family, you know, whether they, you know, process it within in a healthy way. Not everybody develops CPTSD or PTSD. Now, CPTSD is also an anxiety disorder, but the C means complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's because the PTSD that person has is complex because they've either lived in a traumatic situation like poverty, abuse, living in a house where there's domestic violence, or being being abused yourself, or experiencing these kind of situations, or if somebody has experienced or witnessed ongoing traumatic events and hasn't had support for each one. Right? Now, CPTSD, the symptoms show up very similar to ADHD. Inability to concentrate, anxiety, depression, fluctuating moods, emotional dysregulation, the inability to manage your emotions, like they can just swoop in and change your whole day. Fear of rejection, addiction, having trouble with substances and having trouble with toxic relationships. These things that I'm listing show up in a person with ADHD and show up in adults, right, with CPTSD. So if you find that you are being diagnosed with ADHD late, and if you're one of the people that think, oh my gosh, this makes sense because my whole life I've struggled, then it's going to be very liberating for you. But the person who sent this question in was saying that they didn't present any symptoms until later on in life. So how can this be hereditary, and how can it be an actual brain disorder when their brain didn't feel disordered before their late 20s? Now, what I would say, and this is just this is through what I've learned and through my experience, through my research and through my coaching other people and stuff. I'm not a doctor. I can't say, it's 100% the same for everyone. But if you are only, if a doctor is diagnosed, okay, it could be possible that a doctor could diagnose a person who is dealing with unresolved trauma with ADHD. Like, they could diagnose that person with ADHD because the doctor themselves are not trauma informed, right? So if a professional is not trauma informed and doesn't know that the symptoms of CPTSD are almost identical to ADHD, then they might not dig deeper and ask the patient or ask the client, what have you been through that you haven't processed? What trauma has happened to you in your life that you haven't processed? Because before we go down the ADHD route, which I know about, let's look at what you've had happen in your life that you might not have resolved, because you can block trauma out for a time. You can. And you can move on and you can be strong and you can act all bubbly. But if you continue to do that and more traumatic things happen and you notice that I'm super strong, aka I'm numb as a thumb that's been hit with a hammer, you feel like you're strong, but you're not. You're actually switched off. You've switched off from absorbing pain. And if that happens, then what shows up is all of these odd symptoms can show up later on in life. And you start to find that you're agitated, irritated, inability to concentrate, absolutely petrified of rejection, because you're forgetting what happened. You're forgetting the trauma that happened, but it's manifesting in your life in ways, and it takes a while for that to happen. It takes a while for the effect on your brain to actually start manifesting. So if you are being diagnosed with ADHD and you don't feel like, if you are an adult being diagnosed and you don't feel like you presented any ADHD symptoms when you was younger, then, and in your heart that you have had bad news or traumatic events or something happen, witnessing, losing someone or witnessing negativity, or, you've had trauma in your life that you have not processed, then you need to consider that that's something that you've got to start with first. And that, I'm not saying 100%, but you may not have ADHD and you may have CPTSD because the symptoms are very similar. Or you could have mild ADHD, not severe, and because you've got two things with the same symptoms, you're getting double the whammy. But if you deal with your trauma and you take the time to identify some of it and begin a journey of healing, then your symptoms of ADHD, which cross over and show up in it, will be lessened, right? Does that make sense? Someone say yes or no, just so I know. Yeah, so that's that question, okay? All right. The stuff coming in. If you guys have any questions, press the question box, which has it's like a speech bubble with a question mark in it. And then I don't have to scroll to get your questions at the end. I can just go into that question box and retrieve them. Thank you for those that are telling me that it makes sense. Just because this is something I'm very passionate about, because I was diagnosed with both. And I was like, am I getting double the whammy of the symptoms, or do I, because ADHD is known to be incurable, but trauma and PTSD and CPTSD are completely healable. Yeah, it takes time and it's not just a pill like ADHD is, but you can do it. And so I thought, why am I having double the symptoms when I can actually work on healing the one that's curable, This is a tune, by the way. It's called Fortunate by Maxwell. Just want to tell you that. Now, the next question. I'm definitely not going to be able to get through all 7, I've realised. So, yeah, we're definitely going to get... because I want to keep this under an hour, So, yeah, we'll just try. We'll try our best. Now, how to manage ADHD without medication. This could be a whole hour. This could. But I will nutshell it, right? So I have tried medication. At the beginning of my ADHD journey, I was like, no way am I trying mental health medication. If I've been told at the age of 30 that I've got severe ADHD, severe combined, because ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So some people have just the inattentive type, some people have the hyperactive type, some people have both. Yeah, so they say. Just gotta say it like that. So in the beginning I was like, no medication. I'm not, because I actually like myself. I'm 30. I'm struggling with certain things, but I like how I am. I like that I'm creative. I like that I'm fast thinking. I like that I've got high energy a lot of the time. So what if that is my ADHD? Like, what if that's like ADHD is my personality and I take this medication, I'm just like, hi. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the stigma that I had around medication, is that mental health medication numbs you out. That's what I believed. So I was completely against it. So what I did was I learned how to manage it without medication. Well, I learned how to, what would be the things. I knew a lot about the fact that our gut is related to our mental health. So I knew that if I changed what I ate, then it would have an impact. Okay, so here's some of the things that I learned. I learned that, and this was what worked for me, and it did work. And I'm gonna say it's not gonna work the same for everyone. I know we're all different, but I decided to spend some time not eating any animal products or sugar. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it was. I had relapse days where I would just walk into Poundland on autopilot and buy multi-packs of chocolate and eat them without even thinking. It happened often. Didn't even know what was going on. But I found that I would actually feel triggered, and my ADHD symptoms were all off the chain and the roof. All of the things that I struggled with were completely unmanageable the day after I ate sugar, the day after I drank alcohol. And I didn't really notice this one, but I did when I cut it out, and that was animal products. So I started with cutting out red meat and dairy products, and then I actually went vegan for a time. It was only for a year. I didn't keep it up, and I do feel like sometimes I'm a bit of a vegan at heart, because I know that when I wasn't eating any animal products, I was at my best, and that's just the truth for me. I cut out, like, I still rarely eat dairy products or red meat. I'm struggling to let go of fish and chicken, and I'm not too strict with myself, but the time that I did cut out these things, everything changed for me. I found that I was able to process my thoughts, like my thoughts weren't flying around my head. I was able to spend time in the morning, just like planning my day, which felt impossible when I would either wake up with a low mood or, again, just a racing mind, like late. I've only just woken up and I'm late for everything, and I'm just feeling like, I cannot even focus on getting ready. So this kind of behavior and feeling really restless inside, and feeling like I would focus, like start something, and within 2 minutes I'm changing, doing something else. I couldn't complete a task. I would have these amazing ideas, and I wouldn't even be able to, even write down a plan on how to manifest these ideas, let alone work on them. I'd just have the ideas and everything would be swimming around my head. And when I spent some time away from eating animal products and sugar and alcohol, I found that I could get an idea, write a plan for it, start to execute it. I found that I'd wake up and I'd feel quiet inside, like not loud. I also found that I didn't have the ups and downs. Like, I would find that some points of the day I would rush up, and then other times I would just crash down and I couldn't even talk. And that was probably because of the amount of sugar I was consuming as well. And that can be a normal, but that could be someone that hasn't been diagnosed with anything. Sugar can give you rushes and make you have come downs. So I just know that everything that I'm saying is applicable for anybody, even the up and down moods. It can, if someone's suffering from unresolved trauma and the stress is weighing heavy on you, you're going to wake up with heaviness. Heavy thoughts and heavy feelings lead to depression, which is just a heavy life. And so, yeah, the first thing I'd say is check what you're eating. Cut out some of the processed stuff, the fake stuff, cut down on alcohol, cut it out, drink more water, get your body doing, flushing out toxins, because that made a massive difference for me. And also, I guess, wait, let me just make sure I'm not leaking into, okay, so this might even be answering other questions, but another thing that I found worked was time boxing. So obviously anyone who has ADHD as an adult and has responsibilities and has a to-do list or a job or anything, you'd understand that you sometimes can't even start things. Procrastination can be your closest companion who you really can't stand. And so what I would find is that and this is mental well-being in general, but this was definitely the kind of protocol I created for myself when I was trying to manage ADHD without medication. So what I would do is time box my day. I'd wake up and I would not check my phone or anything, because the distractions in the phone that can stay on my mind or just tell my day, it caused me anxiety, basically. I would just leave my phone for the first hour. And what I would do with that hour is stuff that makes me feel up. Thank you. Sorry, I just saw someone mention the painting. See how I didn't get distracted by anything else except that. I'm putting it for sale, by the way. But yeah, so I would make sure I was very deliberate about my day, having a morning routine. So the first hour of my day, no phone. But what I would do is do things that make me feel up. So I'd drink water, ideally water with lemon, but I couldn't always be bothered to go and get the lemon. So I'd just have a bottle of water next to my bed ready in the morning. I would, so I would have to use my phone to put on some like uplifting music or an uplifting YouTube video. But if you find that you go on autopilot into the apps, like the ones that are distracting, you have to delete them and re-download them in the morning. But I would put on some like uplifting music. Worship music works great for me, like Hillsong or Tasha Cobbs. So yeah, I'd put on some good like uplifting music and spend some time reading or whatever it is that makes you feel up. Have a morning routine, right? And in that morning routine as well, plan how you want your day to go. Yeah, so you have like an hour or so in the morning that you plan your day. Speak life over yourself, affirmations to help with anxiety. And then I'd set my day up. And what I'd do when I'd set my day is write everything that I need to accomplish that day, or everything I want to accomplish that day, or I have on my mind, all the stuff that's swimming around that makes you go, how am I going to do it? Got this idea, got this friend I want to catch up with, all this stuff that can feel so much. And you feel like, yeah, I'm going to do all this stuff, but then the day ends and you're like, I didn't do none of it. And you feel absolutely crap about yourself, but it didn't come into your head again. It didn't enter your head. You didn't even think about it again until, apart from the night before or the morning where you thought that you were going to do it. So, Sinead's got 53 notebooks with morning routines that she's never carried out. I feel you, sis. I'm just sitting here doing a live with you lot, and I've got 3 notebooks and a pencil case sitting there begging for me to touch it. And I just did, and I've even got my one here. I hear you. but so after your, so planning your day, you write down everything you want to achieve. Now you look at that list and you say, you write down, you look at your list and you say, what do I need to do today? Yeah, and then you time box. So you set your day. Have I got anything with time boxing on it in front of me? Hold on. No, my time boxing notebook isn't here, funnily enough. But you put your to-do list in a time boxing format, and what that looks like is literally this. So, and you could do this the night before, but I tend to have a morning where I'm having my lovely morning routine time, and then after that I write, and then during that I write my time boxing out, which can include, so say that I wake up at 6 and it's from 6 till 7, or wake up at 5, whenever you wake up, from 5 till 7 or whatever, you're gonna have your morning routine where you start your day with yourself. Yeah, you get to clear your mind, you get to enjoy yourself, you get to embrace yourself, right? And then you start to plan your day. And in that last bit of time when you plan your day, you write out, say it's 7. So 7 till 7:30, breakfast. 7:30 till 8, get ready. Yeah, this is just an example. 8 till 9, I don't know, just let's pretend it's today. 8 till 9, So, okay, 7 till 7:30, exercise maybe. 7:30 till 8, breakfast. 8 till 8:30, get ready. 8:30 till 9, answer emails. 9 till 9:30, and literally plan your day with all of your priorities like that. Write it down, put it on the wall, or have it in front of you all day. Include breaks where you get to just get some energy out. If you have ADHD, even if you don't, this works great. But if you have ADHD, your brain gets it's known that your brain's understimulated a lot. So you search for stimulation. And if you change your task often, with not just because that can also be distracting, but if you find that you need to change your task to be motivated, which works for some people and doesn't for others, then have your 2 main priorities of the day and break them down into smaller tasks. So say that you've got to, okay, there's a really rubbish example, but just break your day down into hourly segments or half an hour segments, and make sure you incorporate breaks. And in those breaks, if you need stimulation, then you go on your phone, or then you go for a little walk, and make sure you include eating things that give you, the right kind of energy, not slump you out and mess with your flow. So I'm going so far left and right with this, but basically time box and have a time where you stop and you just, again, wind down, have dinner. And although you might feel that you'll get more done, you can set alarms to change tasks as well, so that you're not easily distracted. And if you are changing tasks fairly often, you won't be looking for distractions, because it's all right, in 5 minutes I'm changing my task. And so that, for me, really works. It might not work for everyone. But if I do, like, for instance, if I've got to write, say, an article, and I've also got to go through some emails and maybe film a couple of videos, I will have, if the video I'm filming might just be 5 minutes, but I'll put a whole half an hour for it because I might need to think about it for a little while. I might need to just sit for a little while, you know, and then spend a few minutes filming it. But you'll find that when you do this and you give yourself the time slots for each thing, you're not sitting there aimlessly like, oh, how am I going to do that? Because we can have to-do lists that are so long and do nothing, and you feel so rubbish, and it's because you don't know as you start doing something, you're thinking about doing something else, or you start thinking, oh, this ain't that important, I've got to do this. But if you spend time in the morning figuring out what's important, what you need to do, then by the end of the day you've got so much done because you did not get out of your schedule, your time boxing schedule, and you schedule breaks, and you schedule rest, and you schedule times where you might need 10 minutes to just chill while you go over to the next task, because one of your tasks might be completely different to the other task, and so you need the transition time. So you could just lie down flat, or listen to a bit of music, or go and drink some water in between tasks. Yeah, I'm gonna do a whole teaching on time boxing in a much better way with it on the wall, because I've only hit 2 points on how to manage ADHD without medication, and I feel like, this could go on forever. So how to manage ADHD without medication could be a whole teaching, and so could time boxing. And anyone that's done my 4-week course will know that I did spend a lot of time on those things. But information about stuff like that will come up another time. It doesn't exist anymore, the course, just in case anyone asks. But do message me if you want more material like this, because I have an online community where I am about to start doing ADHD workshops specifically. But yeah, so there are 2 ways. Check what you're eating and find a way to manage your time, so that the two, these 2, I'm only going to give 2 pointers because I want to go on to another question. But check your diet, check what you're eating, cut down on sugar, drink more water. They're the things that I'd say. Make sure you don't have any intolerances, because that can cause neurological problems too. Yeah, so if you have an intolerance to yeast or an intolerance to caffeine, it can show up as mental issues or psychological problems too. So your gut is important to start with, your nutrition, and also distractibility, finding a way to manage your time and get some energy out with exercise, with, because you're going to be hyper, whether it's inside or out, and you're going to be easily distracted because your brain's understimulated, and that means you could be on the phone talking to someone and also thinking, I need to do that, so you can't hear what they're saying. So if you just have a set time for everything, that stuff won't happen, right? There are so many other ways. So whoever asked that question, if you're here or you're watching on the replay, click the link in my bio, join the Orange Room, or DM me, and I will be doing specific teachings on each thing. But I've only got through 2 questions. I've only got 25 minutes left. Okay. Okay, so someone said, have you got any tips on a healthy diet whilst on medication? I have nausea in the day and then I'm ravenous at night. Also, I crave fat and sugar carbs. Do you relate, and have you got any tips? So while we've just spoken about, focusing on nutrition as a way to manage ADHD without medication, if you're on medications, often the medication, so I'm not on medication anymore. I did try it for a while when I couldn't, I genuinely could not cope. I was being triggered around trauma, and so my CPTSD symptoms were just exaggerating and magnifying the ADHD symptoms that were the same. So I considered ADHD medication after talking to a friend who had said that it didn't make her numb, and it did work fine for her. So I trusted her and I tried it, and it was okay, but only for a short time. There was a lot of parts to it that I didn't like, and so I don't take medication anymore. But when I did, I realized that you don't get hungry, you don't really feel to eat, or you're moving around so fast that you can forget to eat because it's a stimulant. It's funny because if you've got a hyperactive disorder, so they call it, why would you need a stimulant to make you even more like, but I guess it stimulates parts of the brain that feel easily distracted, I don't know. But so just tips for nutrition, so healthy diet is create colourful, exciting salads for the daytime, so that or just something light, so that you can have like little snack bars or something that doesn't take effort, but that you've got an alarm that goes off on your phone that tells you to eat. Because if you don't have this alarm and you don't eat something small or something nutritious, but not, something easy but nutritious, like there's certain kind of like protein bars or a little salad or some fruit or whatever it might be for you, depending, you might want a sandwich. I shouldn't be eating bread at the moment, so I didn't mention that, but whatever it might be for you, right? You have this, you set an alarm and you have something small. You might not be hungry, but you need to eat. Otherwise, you will at the end of the day have such weird low energy because you haven't eaten, and as your meds start wearing off, you're gonna want a loaf of bread or 85 packets of crisps. I've been victim to that, or a whole tub of ice cream. And the problem is that whilst you might think, well, I can eat all these calories because I haven't eaten anything all day, no, because you'll have a come down the next day. You will have an actual terrible come down, and you'll think, oh, my ADHD is so bad, oh, I'm feeling rubbish today. You're having a come down from all the sugar and all the rubbish that you ate on basically an empty stomach. So set your alarms. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, at breakfast, I personally don't always feel like I need breakfast for the way that I am, my body. But if you are a person that, actually, furthermore, I don't take meds, so it's different. If you're taking meds, have breakfast before you take your meds. In your morning routine, have something to eat before your meds, so you've got that in you, not just morning med, have something to eat before your meds, and set an alarm for the middle of the day. Have something nutritious then, so one, it doesn't sink you because you're eating too heavy, and two, you're healthily full. And then at the end of the day, plan your meals in advance. At like the weekend or one of those days, cook a few days worth of food or get some like easy to make stuff, so that when you are feeling your meds wear off, you're not feeling like, oh, I don't want to cook, I'm just going to order KFC. Definitely done that loads of times. Oh, I'm absolutely starving, I haven't eaten all day and I need to eat something quick, and so eat 75 slices of toast. So plan in advance, get stuff that's easy to make, cook stuff and freeze it or put it in the fridge once or twice a week, and set alarms. Okay? Make sure you're eating as your meds wear out. And if you're taking your meds in the morning, depending on what meds you're taking, at about 4 or 5, they'll start wearing off. So it's then you need to think about what you're going to eat. Yeah? Good. I like that question, by the way, because I was a real mess up when I was on medication, and I was just KFC and Space Raiders. That's all I ate. And I wondered why the next day I'd be like, don't want to talk to anyone. Wonder why. How do I be a good support to my partner who has ADHD? We just moved in together. Congratulations on just moving in together. And also, I feel like saying congratulations, or big up you for wanting to be of support. I think just ask what it is that they struggle with the most. You don't want someone, anyone who struggles with anything, and this is my personal opinion, but I'm allowed to have it. You should be working on trying to better yourself. If you struggle with anything that you've been labeled with, you should be working out ways to better yourself and to be free from some of the symptoms that irritate your life or make life difficult for you. I believe that all mental health symptoms are reversible, and it just takes digging deep to find out how. Now, if you're with someone that is working on their symptoms and working on, figuring out what's going on in their body and their brain, then they should be able to communicate to you what they struggle with. And if they don't know how to, then encourage them to. If they are telling you that they've got ADHD and they, clearly need support, then if they aren't able to communicate that, then it would be good for you to encourage them to learn how. For them to figure out what it is that they're going through, for them to figure out what symptoms they struggle with, for them to be able to openly tell you what life is like for them on an everyday basis. And And when they do, then you work around it together. They might forget things a lot. They might say they're going to do something and don't do it. They might plan to, they might have, their intentions might be to do this, that and this, but they've just lost track of time and they didn't do it, and they feel like a failure in themselves. So maybe, and it can seem a little bit, a little bit tiring, but maybe just checking in often and saying, are you still on track for this that we're going to do? Or are you still okay with I just want to remind you that you said you're going to do the dishes and you haven't yet, stuff like that. Because it's not patronizing if you're saying it with an understanding that they might have forgotten. If you start saying, oh, you still haven't, then it can feel hurtful. In saying that, if your partner is working on themselves and trying to learn more about what they're going through and how to manage their own symptoms in a healthy way, then they won't be trying to use their condition as an excuse not to do stuff, because some people do. Some people do like to fling up the card. I've done it before, and be like, yeah, this is my ADHD, or it's just, and if that's the case, then identify that and put your foot down and create some boundaries and say, hey, listen, this is something that we can work on. Yes, you go through this. Yes, I understand, but you're not doing anything to try and better it. I don't see, and it's going to be a hard conversation, but this is how we grow. This is how we get well. This is how we do learn to come off of medication, because we're looking at what we struggle with, how we can work on it, and we're finding methods and different, different ways to work around it. Like if someone is pretty unreliable and forgetful, if they're time boxing, they might be better at that. If they're, watching what they eat and they're not snacking on ice cream all night and having no energy the next morning because they're on a come down, then you have a lot more patience because they're trying and they're working on themselves. And I know it sounds like, yeah, but no, we all can spend some time figuring out what it is we're going through and working on it. And so I think that you need to encourage that if your partner isn't. Yeah, so be accommodating, learn about their symptoms, ask them what symptoms they struggle with the most, ask them what life struggles they go through the most, like what living with them has been like for other people, or what they find difficult in the house. Ask them. If they don't know how to communicate that, then you need to encourage them to take some time to work on themselves, because if they're not, then you're going to struggle with them, and they're showing you that they're not even working on themselves. So are they going to work on your relationship if your relationship gets a bit dodgy? I don't know. And I'm being honest. That's how I feel. And that's just, it says a lot, If you're going through something, you need to be working on yourself. You need to be finding ways to ease it up and be better. And not like be better, just be better, but what you're doing about it. And that's what I believe. And we can all do it. That's why I do what I do, because I want to give people the tools, the toolbox, the methods to free themselves from symptoms that feel absolutely crippling, that feel like they're ruining their lives. There is freedom available, and if you want it, you can have it. You've got to dig deep and you've got to commit to it. If your partner isn't doing that, then if they can't even work on themselves, then, but do be patient with them, do encourage them, and do talk to them and encourage communication, because even if it's just one thing that they're focusing on and changing for the whole year, they're working on themselves if they're doing that. And, I've got a lot of time for that. I've got a lot of time for everyone. But, you're living with someone and they're just non-stop not trying and doing all the things that trigger themselves and, come on, that gets tiring. That's not fair on anyone. You're going to have to live on your own, hun. Sorry. But then we can all do something, All right. I can't even clean the bathroom without remembering something I need to do. Oh no, without remembering 80 things I need to do that I didn't remember before, even with my meds. Again, time boxing will help you. If your bathroom takes an hour to clean and you have got a day to yourself, maybe put on some music, do something that you're going to be understimulated just cleaning a bathroom. Who wants to clean a bathroom? An ADHD brain's understimulated and can only focus on things that stimulate the nervous system. They have an interest-based nervous system. So if something interests a person with ADHD, they can commit to it all year. But if it doesn't, the distractions will be wild, yeah? Interest-based nervous system, understimulated brain. So if you're cleaning the bathroom, which is boring, then put music on and do maybe half, go and get some water, check on your phone, and then come back and do half. So time box it, yeah? So split it up so that you won't be distracted by all these thoughts, which will dive in because it's boring. It's not that you've just remembered all these things you need to do. Your brain is looking for something to stimulate it, like, bathroom's boring, bathroom's boring. I need to call so-and-so. I need to pay this bill. You weren't thinking about that earlier because you were stimulated. Your brain is looking for stimulation because the bathroom's boring it. Yeah, your brain's getting bored. So if you put your music on or put a podcast on, your brain will be stimulated, and if you feel that, you know, you can't do it for the hour, if it takes an hour to clean your bathroom properly, then split it. Set an alarm for half an hour. In that half an hour, check your phone, reply to a WhatsApp, have a drink of water, get back in the bathroom and finish it. Yeah, so split your task up and make sure that there's something else going on externally that stimulates you. Music, podcasts, YouTube videos, that stuff, when you're doing something boring. Yeah? And then you'll be able to do boring stuff well. Because we don't. And how long we got left? 10 minutes. So there's another question here, but do you guys have questions that I could just answer so we finish within the hour? Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that question and see what ones you lot have sent. Can you save this live, please? Yes, of course. Yeah, okay, so these are comments more. So Honey Lopez says, as a psychologist, people get misdiagnosed a lot. It's also very whitewashed. Everyone has different symptoms. No one glove fits all. It's really annoying. You have to follow it to a T. Journal and meditate. Only take meds if you really need to. Literally, journaling has saved me. I don't know if anyone took part in my 21 Days of Joy journaling challenge. It's up on IGTV. It's on my grid as well if you want to have a look. I did 21 days of journaling, and that helps so much with processing your thoughts and clearing your mind, and also just get into a place of calm. This wasn't a question, but I'm just commenting on it. And also, if you do want to continue, if you haven't done the journaling thing, like I said, anyone that's here, hit the link in my bio or my story. I'll put it in my story, and go to the Orange Room. It's my online community where I do weekly journal prompts. So the 21 days that I did on Instagram was a 21-day challenge, but it was also to introduce you guys to the fact that in the Orange Room, we consistently journal. Every week, I send a journal out and a little guide to go with it. And because journaling is absolutely one of the most therapeutic things that you could ever do. Even if you don't enjoy or feel you're good at writing, clearing your mind, and sometimes you don't know where to start. So the prompts that, you can get prompts, and I've got trillions in the Orange Room. So join the Orange Room online community. Thank you so much for that, honey. Sounds like I'm saying honey, but it's your name. And do I have time for this? Does anyone else have a question? What's the best way to deal with anxiety? I think I'll post something on that, because that is quite a long answer. But I guess one of the things that I would say to go deep, so there's taking, breathing exercises, drinking more water is a great way to, on the spot, deal with anxiety, reconnect with the world, because you can find that you're in a whirlwind of thoughts when you're having like a moment of anxiety. If you're living with anxiety, spend some time journaling, maybe doing this through journaling. If you're good at just sitting there and thinking, which for anyone who has ADHD, I'm sure that's going to be difficult, because you don't just sit and think, you sit and think about what you should be doing other than sitting and thinking. So get your journal out and ask yourself a few questions. So what are you scared of? When you're feeling that feeling of anxiety, what is it attached to? What are your fears? What lies are you believing about yourself? What lies are you believing about life? And I call them lies because a lot of the time, the thing that we're struggling with the most in life is based on a lie. based a lie that people don't like you, a lie that everyone thinks bad things about you, a lie that no one loves you, or that you're unattractive, or just something that you've got in your mind that you act on every day and it causes you anxiety, a lie that you're not good enough, a lie that you're set up for failure, that you're never going to be anything. If you have this as your main thought or where you operate from, then whatever happens in your life, you feel anxious about. Every day you feel anxious because you just feel that sense that you're not getting the most out of life. And any interaction with anyone can cause you to feel fear, or an irrational fear, or feel like something bad's gonna happen. So if you have anything that's happened in your past that is causing you to have a fear, then you need to have you need to speak affirmations over yourself. You need to say to yourself, not everything I think is real. Say, anxiety, flee. Anxiety, leave. I am safe. Life is good. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am wonderful. Use affirmations to attack the lies that can be causing you to react physically to something that's happening in your mind. A what if, or a possibility that hasn't happened. Anxiety is good at some points. If you're walking down an alley in the middle of the night, having anxiety is good because it keeps you aware and safe. But having irrational fear about life and about every day, it's completely crippling, and it makes you feel like life's not good, and life isn't going to be good, and good times won't last, and people don't like you, and you're not loved, and there's no point trying that thing because you're going to fail at it anyway. These are lies. And these are a lot of the lies that cause us to live anxious lives, you know? So identify what your thought or lie is. I'm going to call it a lie because I don't want you believing anything bad about yourself. And I don't believe it's true. So I want you to figure out what thought rules these feelings, and what has happened in the past that has made you feel like the future isn't going to be bright, or now isn't bright. Yeah, that's for you, Sarah. So I hope that's helped. If you want to message me and talk about it more, I'm happy to, because I think that's quite a broad one. And I'm going to try and finish this under an hour. Good Friday. Try and save it. I bet I'm going to do all of this to finish it in under an hour. And it's not even going to... it's not even going to be able to save to my phone, which is the goal. But I'm going to wrap up. This is part 1. Because there were so many questions that came in, and I didn't want to, I wanted to just answer as many as possible and see if I could do this in under an hour. Thank you so much to everyone that asked a question. If I haven't asked, if I haven't answered a question that you have, send it to me in my DMs. Have you done a session on lies, or are you planning to? Do you know what? I've actually got a note in my notes section talking about lies that defeat us, the lies that defeat us and make us feel like life is bad. So I haven't, but I am going to. If you join the Orange Room, that's where I do all my Zoom workshops where I can, just off the cuff, think of topics to do. I can do them on live here as well, but I encourage people to have social media breaks when they feel full. And so it's only natural for me to have a platform which is not on social media, where people can still access all this goodness, all of this advice, help, support, love, whatever, and without being distracted by the other things on social media which can stress us out. So I have an online community. Again, it's called the Orange Room. Click the link in my bio to join. Hi Nat, just saw Nat come in, my sis. And so yeah, when you go off social media and you miss all your good pages, if you're in the Orange Room, you get, I've actually haven't even started. I realised I should share some of my Instagram posts in the Orange Room, which I don't, because I think I want the Orange Room to have its exclusive content. But it does have its exclusive content. We have daily affirmations. We have weekly journaling booklets and journal prompts. We have live sessions on Zoom where we cook, we do art therapy and discussions. And there's loads more. So I'm going to go. Thank you for everyone for being here. If you have any other questions, you want to know more about the Orange Room, DM me. I'm going to have some time now where I'm going to go through my DMs because I'm time boxing. So I'm going to go through my DMs now. And then at 8:30 your time, I am going live with Sharina for Learning How to Love on Yourself, which is my series, my IGTV series or my Instagram series. And I'm going to be talking to Sharina, who had a mental breakdown, and she learned how to, talking about how she learned to love on herself after that and become the amazing mentor that she is now. Yes, there's Jojo, Time Boxing Gang. So I am going to do, I think after Easter, I'm going to do a whole session on time boxing in the Orange Room. And I'll talk about it on here too, don't get me wrong, but if you're here and you're interested, you might as well join the Orange Room because it's a lot more intimate and there's loads more deliberate mental health and wellness stuff. And sometimes I just think like, there needs to be a place where people that actually want this stuff are. And again, when you're having a social media break, you can be somewhere where the other stuff that makes you feel crap and heavy isn't there. It's just wellness. And so, yeah. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. I feel like hugging you like this. And if you're able, come onto the live in half an hour. If you're not, never mind. And for everyone watching on the replay, hello to you two too. You too? Hello to you lot too. And happy Good Friday. Anyway, let me go. Let me go and have my water and my DM check. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Oh yeah, part 2 coming soon too. Thanks for sending your questions in. Bye.